One, two. One, two. Peace. One, two. Got lag time over here. Dang it. Peace. One, two. Got lag time over here. Dang it. This meeting is being live streamed. Okay. One, two. I'm trying to get my got lag time over here. Dang it. This meeting is being live streamed. Okay. Peace, peace, peace. Johnny Mac. Get my peace, Brianna. How you doing? Got lag time over here. Peace, trumpet. Trumpets. Peace, peace, peace. Johnny Mac. Get my peace, Brianna. This feedback is killing me in my ear. I'm hearing myself. Peace, trumpet. Delayed and trumpets. I gotta figure out how to adjust this. Peace, Johnny. One, two, one, two. There we go. I got rid of the turn down the. There we go. There we go. All right. Can y'all still hear me? Can you give me a one if you can still hear me? Yeah, I got it. I got it. I got it. I got that background noise taken care of. We hear the echoes too. Hmm. Seeing Brianna said, seeing great. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Sending y'all peace and prosperity as well. You know what I'm saying? It's that season. So okay, so y'all hearing me? No more. Okay, good. Yeah, I got it. Good, good, good. So I got a lot to talk about this evening. Let me see if I can get my camera going here. Boom. Um, okay. Can y'all see me? Am I coming through? Oh yeah. Man, this lag time with Zoom is it's crazy. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. I know this is impromptu and it's a Tuesday night. This is not your YouTube prime time for doing a live, but peace, Natalia. Um yeah, hit that 1,000. Thank you, Brian. Thank all of y'all for subscribing and for your positive energy. You know, and I got a lot to talk about this evening. I got a lot to and I'm trying to get all of my let me get all of my get myself in order here. I got to get my production Chris where I come on with the introduction and okay, yeah, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in to. But meanwhile, we're just gonna keep it organic. All right. So you see the title. We're talking about the summer solstice. And let me get my actual my, my notes out. Soul is lit, laying down, not sleepy, so it must be right on time for sure. Okay, the summer solstice 2024, the astrology and esoteric symbolism. And so this is what we're going to do. First and foremost, let me cover the commercial as we're getting going. And basically, I invite whomever will watch this on the replay and whoever's watching live, go and visit my website, 720astrology.com, and just peruse. Look at all the things that you got there to serve your continued evolution and growth. We got readings, we have literature. I just released my new bundle, and it includes my book, my booklet, 2020 and the World to Come, my book, A Layman's Guide to Manifestation, and the 5 learning tool handouts. And you just gotta get them to see what they are. I'm gonna do some videos breaking down what's on those though. But I don't I know I'm not doing the commercials like I need to. Just go. I don't like peddling. So go over to the website and just see. All right. And but I've been really anxious about talking about this. Been real busy with family and stuff and responsibilities, and um but I've been diligently working on things. And the summer solstice is a special time of the year for me. For one, my parents got married during the summer solstice on the tail end of it in 1973, June 23rd, they got married. So it's a special time for me. And because I am a product of a union that came together at the summer solstice. And but there's a lot beyond me. There's a lot of great symbolic and practical and real life, all spiritual, all the way across the board, that's all packed into this summer solstice. But before I get into the actual symbolism, let's look at the astrology. So what I want to do is get my, let me turn myself up just a little bit and let me get my pen going. I'm going to pull, excuse me 1 minute. Well, just lost the batteries of that. Oh well, I'll find that later. I want to pull up the chart for the event. And the event is the sun making its ingress into the sign of Cancer, which will happen June 20th, 4:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. So let me find this chart and share it. And then we're going to talk about the basics from the astrological perspective first. And then we'll go into the deeper metaphysical, esoteric symbolism. Now, uh, Andrea asked you peace. She said that, oh wow, that's your born day. All right. That's a special day to come in. That is a really special day to come in on. And we will see why as we go through this little presentation. I'm gonna try my best, keep my voice uh taken care of throughout this. So I need to stay hydrated. This is a conversation for people who are who are seeking and who are serious about what they are seeking, or just the pursuit or just the effort of seeking. Like, you don't have to even know what you're seeking, but just to be seeking is the beautiful thing about being. That's what it's called, the path, or being on the way, as the Sufis say. And so you're going to need to be patient with this presentation. I'm saying this more so for people when they watch this on the replay. I know we've been conditioned to, we got to get right to everything. We got to have 5-minute clips, shorts and TikTok videos, and but there still needs to be time to allow a thought or a series of thoughts to develop. And these things are complex, and in order for them to be simplified, we have to allow time for them to be laid down in layers. And by the time you get all those layers, then you have this one piece of artwork, but the different components are complex. So I ask you to bear with me and be patient. And I'm going to piece all this thing together, all right, as best I can. So first, we'll start with, again, the rudimentary astrology. And we're going to break this down first by looking at the sign of Cancer. That's the glyph for Cancer. What does Cancer deal with? And I'm just going to hit some bullet points. Of course, this is not exhaustive. Cancer, for one, deals with nativity, because Cancer is the soil that you come out of. And the soil would coincide with Mama. She represents the salt water, the amniotic fluid that the gestating baby is living within. It's an enclosure. It's a place of safety. It's a place of warmth. And it is a place of quiet solitude. It is nationhood. Any word with NAT, nation basically is the same as nativity, but we're thinking more of a landmass when we think of nationhood. What's my nationality? What do I arise from? We're talking about pedigree. Okay. Um, Cancer deals with emotional sensitivity. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon is the fastest moving body in our solar system. Every 2.5 days, it's thereabout, it moves into a new sign. And the moon regulates the water on the planet. You want to get a book by Robert Carl Yansky, or Jansky. Um, and it's his book on the eclipses. You want to get anything by Robert Carl Jansky. He was a astronomer and astrologer, and just a scientific minded person. His approach to astrology and astronomy was very erudite. And he talks about, in his book on eclipses, he talks about how when there's a full moon, um, literally, and you can find this anywhere, but I just like the way he explains it. Simplifies the fact that, the water in the body does expand. If you just go back to old astrology, one of the rules is you don't have any type of major medical procedure, surgery, or whatever when the moon is waxing, and especially not at a full moon, because the inflammation, the chances for inflammation and complications are greater when you have a procedure done under these phases of the moon. You find this stuff in Farmer's Almanac, this type of information. But what he adds to this, though, is that why people tend to bug out around a full moon is because You think the water swelling all throughout the body, which includes the head, the cranium. But because we have a skull, it does not allow room for expansion. So during a full moon, if a person is already predetermined um, towards being loony, which the word loony is lunar moon. Lunacy comes from is associated with the moon. If this person is imbalanced already and is prone to snapping, then the full moon really escalates that because there's increased pressure in the head and it makes people bug out. Okay. So that's the moon that's regulating that. The moon moves so fast that the tides rise and fall. And that's why Cancer energy is considered to be moody. And I know all too well because my moon is in Cancer. And sidebar, you think when a planet or a body is in its ruling sign that it's like, yay, but it ain't all, and it's not necessarily always the case because living with the moon in Cancer, which is and that is accidentally debilitated because of the house that my moon is in, you know, um it's like you have to learn how to properly handle a weapon so that you don't end up shooting your foot off or shooting off a toe, or murking yourself. Yeah, you got this beautiful Desert Eagle, 50 caliber Desert Eagle, but do you know how to use it? And that's the thing, especially with the moon and cancers, because your emotions can overpower you. It gives you this ability to be intuitive and to feel. I can walk in a room and read the temperature of the room. It's some real shit. It's not made up. I'll walk in a restaurant, tell my wife, let's go. We leaving. But no, we leaving. And when I don't listen to that, I'm always disappointed. So it is a real thing. But so that's part of one of the so-called superpowers. But then there's the aspect of the same thing that's a superpower can be your albatross because you don't always want to feel the temperature in the room. You don't always want to, sometimes you don't want to get a funny feeling about a person. You just want to go in and just, and just be like, you seem like everybody else is just being, and it's like, damn, it's like you're picking up all these signals throughout the room. And it's like, damn, and then the I feel what's going on, what everybody else is going to feel, I feel it early because I am ruled by the moon. And so that's the energy of Cancer. I have an intimate understanding and connection with this Cancer energy. The moon ruling Cancer also deals with feeding because Cancer physiologically rules the breasts on the mother where the baby suckles. So we're talking about feeding Cancer, and we're gonna come back to that too when we get into the symbolism. And then Cancer also is associated with the stomach. So it is feeding and being fed. That's Cancer. Again, tying back into mama, tying back into your roots. What's feeding you? The soil that you come from is what feeds the plant. And then how are you fed? So that's I'm trying to give just a overall picture of Cancer. You know, it's highly sensitive, it's feeling, it is emotion. It is the electricity of water. It is the movement, the motion of water. That's that's Cancer. Okay. Now, when the sun goes into Cancer, I'm not even looking at the um I'll come back and check the comments, so I don't want to lose my train of thought. But you know, shit already. When the sun makes its ingress into Cancer, it is like the energy is equivalent to the new moon. Because think about it. When you have a new moon, you have these two bodies, the sun and the moon. They are at the same degree in the sky. So from the apparent motion, not the actual, but from the apparent motion from our vantage point on Earth, they seem to be lined up with each other. And that's why we call it a new moon, because they are conjoined. So when those two conjoin, their energies merge. So when the sun moves into 0 degree of Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, it is like us having a new moon. And the new moon is dark. It is occult. It is hidden. There is something, it is literally the fetus is growing inside a mama. You don't see, we don't see when the fetus first starts growing. We by the time mother starts showing, the baby's been growing for a while. But the initial stages of the baby growing, of the fertilization, that's the new moon. And that's the sun moving into Cancer. And it can be difficult because you have a body of blazing fire that is immersed in water. You ever been frying some eggs or whatever, and you get done and you take the hot frying pan and dip it into the sink, into the water to wash it? What sound does it make? Because that is the hot fire meeting the water, and that sound is those two trying to figure out how to coexist. The sun, which is fire, being suddenly dipped into water. And so the sun just symbolically represents, one, our vitality, but it's also our focus. So when we say somebody's sun sign, my sun sign is in Aquarius. I tend to focus in life to a great degree through the lens of Aquarius. Somebody whose sun is in Leo or whose sun is in Capricorn, they're going to tend to focus because the sun is focused light. They'll tend to focus through the perspective of that sign. And so when the sun is in Cancer, we tend to focus through the realm of emotion, and we're shining a light on emotion as an institution. Wherever the sun is, it is shining a light and illuminating wherever it goes, whether it's difficult or not difficult, it is going to illuminate. So I'm just trying to give a context for um the sun making its ingress, which is the official start of the summer solstice. Now, what is a solstice? Break that word down. It is sol for sun, and stis means to be still. So at the solstice, from the apparent vantage point here on Earth, the apparent motion, it is if the sun stands still for 3 days, and then it will continue in its journey. And at the solstice, the sun is starting to fall. At the summer solstice, at the winter solstice, at least in the northern hemisphere, the sun is starting to rise. Keep all this in mind because I'm foreshadowing to the symbolic part. I'm getting ahead of myself and I gotta focus. All right. So the sun in Cancer. Now you also see that at the time the sun makes its ingress into Cancer, we have Venus at 4 degrees of Cancer. Now, Venus, planet of love, planet of resources. It is the planet of attraction. It is the grand magnet. It is the planet that forms man because Venus is associated with the 5 and the 6. Okay. And Venus is what we value. So people who have Venus and Cancer tend to take on often the role of mama, even for a man. He might tend to take on a motherly type of role in a relationship, as in a need to nurture. Venus and Cancer can tend to have a very traditional approach to relationship because you basically have two goddess energies that are merged together. It is Venus and the moon. So it's like, so the reason you use the word tradition is because it's like saying that this relationship needs to produce a child, which is the traditional approach to relationship. And that doesn't have to necessarily mean a literal child. It's that we need to grow. One, we may need to grow this relationship. Where are we going? What are we building? And it might be we need to grow something with this relationship. That could be something that's like a business. It can be a house. It can be anything, but this relationship needs to produce something. Venus and Cancer. Um, Let me stick to my notes here. What did I say? Emotional fulfillment. Um, Venus and Cancer can sometimes just then make me a need to be in relationship. Can also be possessive. Okay. So I'm just trying to give this an energetic backdrop again for this energy. Now, what we got going on here at the time that the sun makes its ingress is that the sun and Venus are in a quincunx with Pluto. And I'm gonna draw this aspect, then I'll come back and I'll touch on it. But first let me give you so, let me tell you something personal about me, which I don't like. Uh Anybody who really, really knows me, which is few, um, one of my clients used to tell me, Jamal, you play with your cards close to your chest because I wouldn't tell them my business. This is when I was a personal trainer, you know. But I need to, and it's not like it's some some conspiracy or whatever. It's something that's personal about my children. So I was previous my first marriage. I have two children, two teenage young ladies from my first marriage, and they only live about 12 minutes from our house where we at now. One thing about breaking up a home, I think the guilt, because I left my first wife, I left her. Um, the guilt you live with as a father of knowing you busted up your home, it's some heavy burden to bear. And I don't think I realized that I've been living with it, you know? Um, because I never thought I was going to be the person who would be divorced and on child support. And I just never thought that. I just felt like when I got married, it was going to be, and at that time, this was before I really had astrological knowledge, because, I got Gemini on the marriage house cusp, and Gemini is duality. And um, we tend to have a second go at things when it comes to Gemini and it comes to love. Um, but again, I have my moon in Cancer. So I'm very sensitive. So my girls are over here with us visiting. They've been here since Father's Day. And my next to oldest, who is a double Gemini, Gemini rising, Gemini sun. So I get up and I'm taking her to, I had to take Jazz this morning to school, and then Jada goes to meet Jazz for their workout for basketball. And I've been, Geminis are moody anyway, and my children, my daddy told me everything about you you'll see in your children. And I'm so fucking moody. And then I have to look at my Sagittarius child and my Gemini, and my God, all my children, my two Pisces, I see things about me and them. I see myself like, oh shit, this is what my wife has to deal with. Because my Gemini child, her moods are just, you know, talkative this minute, next minute, like, very distant. And so we get in the truck. And I'm asking, you all right, baby? He say, yeah. All one word answers, one word. And so what did I say? I said, I asked her about, does she have any close friends that she can talk to? Because I'm sensing something's going on with her. Something's on her mind. I know it. I can sense it. But she will not divulge. So I say, if you got anything to tell me, even if it's something you think I might not want to hear, you can tell me, baby. You can talk. I'm not gonna judge you. We're not gonna judge you. She's like, okay. And so we started talking about basketball and everything. Check this out. Later this evening, I had to take them to AAU basketball practice. And my wife has to take our younger two children to taekwondo. So I got the girls with me. And it comes up. She says, Daddy, you were saying earlier, you would ask me, and I could tell you anything. I was like, yeah. She's like, can we sometimes just do something with just us three, like it used to be? And, even if it's just riding in the truck or such and such. And I'm like, damn. Now, while she's telling me this, I got to go through all this data in my head. One, I already feel like I'm stretched to the hilt. You know, my wife got to go to work in the morning, and she trying to run and take them to taekwondo. They tell me at the last minute they got AAU practice. I'm trying to rush over here. You know, I'm planning I got to do this live tonight because I got to keep things rolling. But I had to realize in that moment, you open that door and you got to accept what comes through the door, and you got to not make them feel like they can't trust you to tell you how they feel. And I'm getting to a point that all this shit is astrological. I'm getting to a point. Bear with me. And so I said, okay, baby. I said, okay, well, we're doing the best we can. We stretched on both ends, but we're going to figure out a way that at least we can make some time where we can do something, say when, you know, when my wife is off from work, the days that she's off, and she can take the other babies, then maybe we'll try to figure out something where we can do something just us. Now, now, and I sat there for 2 hours with them at practice, watched them. I was proud. They did look good. But here's what astrologically, what was so significant about that. This transit chart I have up is for June 20th, but today is June 18th. And today, um, Mercury is just now making its ingress. I think yesterday it made its ingress into Cancer. So Mercury, yesterday and today is, oh shit. It's it is over here. All right. At one, making its ingress into Cancer, which means Mercury is in this quincunx with Pluto. Now look at this. Mercury and Cancer are words of sensitivity. It is um it is emotionally driven thinking and communication. But it is not seeing eye to eye with Pluto, which is down here. When we have a quincunx, it means that, like right now, if you're watching me on your computer, we have a 180-degree relationship to each other. It's an opposition because I'm looking into the camera at you, you're looking back at me. We see eye to eye, relatively speaking. If there's a quincunx, you can hear me talking, but you can't see me. That's a quincunx. It's an annoyance. And so yesterday and today, Mercury, the planet of communication, is not seeing eye to eye with some type of hidden information, hidden knowledge, which means we have to go digging to figure out what it is being occulted or hidden, but we know something's there, but we can't quite see what it is. And the conversation with my 15-year-old was an example of that, who just so also has her moon in Aquarius, very close to Pluto. So she had to tell me something that she feels, and I had to get over my own um ego and my self-pity that I've been feeling about feeling guilty all these years, because what the fuck good does it do? I need to figure out, how do I take action? So instead of me just letting her stay in her shell, which she's fine doing, I need to probe, and I had to figure out a way to approach her to make her feel comfortable to tell me something that maybe she's been needing to tell me for months or maybe for years. That's the quincunx. That is Mercury and Cancer in a very emotional space, not seeing eye to eye with Pluto, Lord of the underworld, who's in the sign of knowledge and information. And it's other things with Aquarius. It's also the future, and it's community. But for the purpose of this right here, this example, that was some information I needed to dig out. And so it's like, man. And it's like after practice, they just looked so, it seemed like a weight was lifted off of Jada and my oldest, you know, and it just that's an opportunity we have right now with Mercury and Cancer. Ask questions from an emotional space, not from being controlled by your emotions, though. Very careful, because this quincunx still can trigger us to lash out and be overrun by emotion. But the more evolved approach is to communicate from a space of care, of wanting to provide comfort, of concern, of um nurture. You feel me? Like, hey baby, it's okay. Is something going on with you? Talk to me. That's one of the opportunities that hit me right in the face. Like, dang, man, like, and I'm thankful for that exchange, you know. So now I'm gonna bring it, um, um, now I'm gonna bring it back up to the 20th, because on the 20th, when the solstice begins, as I have here shown, Venus and the sun are not seeing eye to eye with Pluto. And so the sun illuminates. So we're continuing with this process that Mercury started with a conversation. And now the sun comes to shine the light on it and to illuminate maybe what began with Mercury's conversation. And then Venus got a peculiar relationship with Pluto all throughout this year, because Venus is the only planet that will square Pluto twice this year. Squared it back in February, and it's going to square Pluto again, I think, in December. So Pluto and Venus are dancing throughout this year, and um, it's forcing us to dig deep into the truth of our relationships. And just think about Venus rules Libra and Taurus, but from the perspective of Libra, we had the North Node total solar eclipse back in April. North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, ruled by Venus. So Venus has been prominent all year, forcing us to look at the institution of relationship and what it means to us, and what's our role in relationship, all relationships. What's our role? And what do we value? What do we value? And how what programs do we have running involving everything Venusian, you know? And of course it's going to also deal with resources and things of that nature, but um it's breaking down any superficiality that we may be living in. This dance between Venus and Pluto throughout the year. It's breaking down the superficial. And Pluto wants to know what's really real. What's real to you? And so we getting this right here, and there may be things that we are not seeing. There are shadows here, because uh Pluto is not directly in Venus's eyesight. And even the sun, as it tries to shine light, it might be kind of missing what the actual thing is. So there's a thing of, you got to dig. You got to go on excavation right now. All of us. We're excavating. I'm probably tearing that word. Is it excavating? How about I just say digging? How about I do that? Um, I missed let's see, Peace, Natasha, Peace, Sage, Lovely Soul, Empress in the house. Peace, peace, Ashley, peace. I hope you got your package. You should have it, Ashley. Um, See that real Johnny Mac still here. Let's see, 9/11 in the house. Okay. All right. So let me see if there's any other aspects that I needed to talk about around this energy of the solstice. Um, here's one. Here's one. It's that we have a nice trine here between Jupiter and Pluto. And this is retrograde Pluto. So this is Pluto that's going back over territory. This is a Pluto that will make its last passage into Capricorn this year, and it won't be back in Capricorn for another 240 something years. So Pluto's signal is very loud right now because it's retrograde. And that's what happens when a planet is retrograde. Its signal gets louder. So Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is in air. Pluto is in air. So our minds are expanding if we allow it. And that expansion is not just horizontal, it is vertical because we're dealing with the Lord of the underworld. There's an opportunity here for um, our spiritual knowledge to exponentially increase because when Jupiter and Gemini is used properly, which is there is a testing of one's thesis, there's a testing of one's perspective, there is an openness to learning where the teacher allows him or herself to be a student, understanding that this is what makes a great teacher is to be a great student. This is a chance to test the law. Sidebar. Jupiter is also preachers. Down here in Dallas, boy, they catching hell. We got one preacher. I'm gonna do a video on it. We got a preacher at a mega church called Gateway. 100,000 people come through the doors every weekend at 9 different locations. It's like their church is a Walmart. You know, uh, Jesus has been commercialized. Um, he's caught up in a sex scandal. Tony Evans at Oak Cliff Bible College caught up in some type of sex scandal. So it's interesting. That's the downside of Jupiter in detriment in Gemini. Jupiter, who rules over churches and religion and preachers, is in detriment, and now we're learning about things, Gemini, that have things that have been going on. But enough with the negative, but the positive is Jupiter and Pluto together in harmony, like occult knowledge. And when we say occult, we just mean it's the same word as esoteric. It's just like it is. I don't know about you, but my mind, like, I need to do this, like this exchange right here, so I don't go crazy. Like, I need to be able to get this shit out because I get frustrated. And like, if you could see in here, I got notebooks and books taking notes I need to get this stuff out. So the energy is very strong right now. Um and if we utilize it, this can be breakthroughs. It can be breakthroughs. So, conclusion about this from an astrological perspective around the solstice. Be mindful of the fact that emotion, deep feelings, and wounds may be driving expression. Emotion, deep feelings, wounds may be driving expression. So we're talking about just being in a position to recognize how the energy may be moving through you. Two, to take a moment to search out where the emotion is coming from. So one, you got to have the wherewithal to know that, oh shit, I'm in my feelings. Okay. So that's the first step. You gotta be able to, like G.I. Joe, they used to come on at the end of the episode, knowing is half the battle. Yo, Joe. So knowing, the ability to know that, man, I'm in my feelings. And two, then the ability to then ferret out and seek out, where is this emotion coming from? Remember, Mercury has the ability to travel through all realms. Although he does not like particularly moving through water, he has the ability to travel through all realms. He has the key to all of them. So utilize that to probe, where is this coming from? These are opportunities I see with this energy around the solstice. All right. Now, so with that in mind, now we got to go to the esoteric stuff. And I will stop sharing and I'll go to the whiteboard as needed. So the summer solstice, and let me say this. I'm going to be quoting some stuff from the Bible. And let's be clear about what the Bible is. First, by going by the title they put on it to tell you what the book is about. Holy comes from Helios. It means fire circle, okay? Or sun. Bible is the same word as bibliography, which means book. So I'm going to be referencing the Sun book. All right. So I don't want it misconstrued that I'm on here proselytizing, because I ain't. And I don't need anyone trying to save me. Man, somebody sent me through my website, filled out a form and sent me something, some video, and they put their name as concerned Christian, concern. And you got two fucking sex addicts down here then got caught up from God knows what they've been doing. And you sending me something about divination and the danger. Let me tell you something. You want to find the devil? Look in your fucking church. Look in your mosque. Look in your synagogue, and you will find all the devils you want to find. I just need to say that. So don't send me no emails trying to save me. I do not need saving. It is so arrogant to think that what you believe in, and this goes for people who telling me about I need to practice a certain type of astrology too. If I don't solicit your help, don't offer it. And whatever you think you believe, go and do your kingdom work. The worst people I've ever discovered in life are the people who come up to you proselytizing and telling you about how religious they are. I've had them, they'll rip you off, they'll steal, they'll lie. I ain't making this shit up. The worst people in the world, judgmental, self-centered, selfish. When people come to me singing that religion, I go the other way, or it's going to be some type of problems. My grandmother never went around telling everybody how much of a Christian she was. I watched her live it. So I respect everyone's path because it's your path. But when you go around knocking on people's doors, sending them unwanted emails, forcing your beliefs, then that lets me know if there is a devil, it's you. Because what are you trying to hide? So with that said, don't contact me with no bullshit. You got preachers around here. You got Kirk Franklin twerking on stage. Everything that represents what you believe in is showing itself to be the so-called devil that you're supposed to be working against. And you come and sending me emails about the dangers of divination. This ain't fucking divination. This is science. This is what your religion comes from. This predates. This is the religion of all religions, is astrology. And I apologize for the people who have to witness, but some stuff got, people are a trip, man. Um, okay. The summer solstice, and I'm gonna give this presentation is gonna help show exactly what I just been saying. The summer solstice is the longest day of the year. As the sun rides triumphantly into Jerusalem, sitting on an ass's colt. Hmm. Let's go to in the Helios Bibliothèque. Let's go to John chapter 12, verse 15. And I'm going to use my phone. Go to 12 and 15. Fear not, daughter of Sion. Behold, thy king cometh, sitting on an ass's colt. Okay. Now, what is that talking about? There are two donkeys in the constellation of Cancer, and they're referred to as Ocellus Borealis and Ocellus Australis, the northern and southern ass cult. So the book itself is astrological. When the Christ figure rides into Jerusalem, which is the great face of Heru Salam, the great face of peace, he's riding on two asses. And you I don't think I got the book over here. Go and get the book Star Names, Their Lore and Myth. Here it goes. So I don't mind sharing references. Star Names, Their Lore and Meaning. Richard Hinckley Allen. This is a must-have for a serious astrological student. Go get that. Because you'll see in there, it lays out who the two donkeys are, which I just read. Ocellus Borealis, Ocellus Australis. Okay. Now the connection between the summer solstice and John the Baptist. Um, so uh let's imagine that this is the summer solstice up here. This is the winter solstice down here. Now I must give honors to the great Moor, the great god C. Freeman L, because it's where I learned this from. That arrow going down is representing involvement in the world of matter, which is involution. Okay. And at the bottom of the circle would be devolution. Devolution. And from devolution, we move into evolution. All right. And when we get to the top, we have a revolution, which means full circle. The summer solstice represents the beginning of the cycle of involution, because Cancer is referred to as the gate of man, and Capricorn is the gate of the gods. because we are being released from Capricorn at the winter solstice to go up to become one of the gods. At Cancer, we are devolving through the gate of man, because to become a god, that must be the human experience. I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's all good. I'm gonna get back to these notes. Um, Now, if you follow the story in the scriptures, John is 6 months older than Christ. And we know that John is referred to as the forerunner. And let's make this clear. John the Baptist is celebrated at the summer solstice. Okay? That's symbolically what John the Baptist represents, the summer solstice. It's one of the things that energy represents. John refers to Christ as the Lamb of God. Now, the Lamb of God refers to what? Aries. All right. They give you clues all throughout these passages. Now, um, and Aries is the place symbolically, esoterically. It is the place where Christ is conceived. And I'm going to explain all of this. Now, if you go to Matthew 10 and 34, Matthew 10 and 34, let me get it queued up. Matthew 10 and 34. So, and whenever you see red in the uh sun book, you know this is representing coming from the Christ energy. 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Why is that significant? Because Aries, which is ruled by Mars, is associated with weapons, and especially knives, things that can pierce, bullets, knives, swords, comes under the realm of Mars and Aries. So that scripture is telling you this is that the Christ figure is conceived at Aries, all right? And that he didn't come to bring peace. So here's the nugget. John the Baptist and Christ are tied at the hip. That's why John the Baptist is born 6 months before Christ. Because if you look at the zodiac wheel, the opposition is directly across from the other, which represents 6 months. Okay, 6 months between the start of spring and the start of fall. 6 months between the start of winter and the start of summer. All this shit is astrology. Okay. So if Christ is taking on the energy of the sword, and the sword coincides with Aries, which is the vernal equinox, then John naturally would be peace, which is he would be conceived at the autumnal equinox. All astrology. Okay. Then we go to Luke chapter 1, verse 5 through 17. In the time of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zachariah who belonged to the priestly division of Abijah. His wife Elizabeth was also a descendant of Aaron. Both of them are righteous in the sight of God, observing all the Lord's commands and decrees blamelessly. But they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive, and they were both very old. And when Zachariah's division was on duty, hold on. We're gonna stop. I gotta break this down as we go. Hold on. Let me erase this. Oh man, thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you all so much for the super chat. Um, so look, okay, I gotta I meant to scan my tree of life, and there's gotta be a faster way to erase this, but it is what it is. Okay. Boom, boom. So I'm gonna draw me a makeshift tree of life. Okay, that would be Kether. That would be Okma, Bana. Then uh I gotta leave room. That'd be Tifereth. And then that would be Hesed, Gavora. Boom, 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 boom. Then that would be Netzik, Hod, Yesod, Mal Malkuth. I'm running out of room. Malkuth. Okay. You gotta bear with me. Okay. So now this is called the Kabbalistic tree of life. This crude illustration I got here. Now, so this is the supernal. These are the upper supernals. One, two, three. All right. This is Kether right here. We'll put a K for Kether. This is Hokmah. All right. And this is Banah. Now, the reason I'm highlighting this, I got to do this too. This is Gavora. And this would be Hesed. This side over here is called severity, this whole pillar. So everything on the left is severity. This side would be called mercy. All right. So when the scripture, so the Bible is not only astrological, it is Kabbalistic. Okay. So listen to this. It says, verse 7, but they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive. Do you know another label or title for Bana is the barren mother, Amma, the barren mother. Okay. So Elizabeth would represent Bana Kabbalistically. All right. And Elizabeth is the mother of John. Now, and they both were very old. Once, when Zachariah's division was on duty and he was serving as a priest before God, he was chosen by Lot, according to the custom of the priesthood, to go into the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And when the time for the burning of incense came, all the assembled worshipers were praying outside. Then, listen to this. Then an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing on the right side of the altar of incense. So the angel came from the pillar of mercy. See, Zacharias represents the pillar of mercy. Elizabeth represents the pillar of severity because she was the barren mother. See, it's Kabbalistic. When Zacharias saw him, he was startled and was gripped with fear. But do not be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayers have been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you are to call him John. He will be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth, for he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He is never to take wine or other fermented drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit even before he is born. He will bring back many of the people of Israel to the Lord their God, and he will go on before the Lord in the spirit and power of Elijah. Listen to the language. He will go on before, because John is the forerunner, all right, of Christ. I'm going to jump ahead and say this and I'll come back. Humanity. John represents humanity. Okay. Humanity is the forerunner of Christ. In other words, you can't have a realization of your divinity, of your Christhood. And Christ represents chrism, which represents a fire. Chrism means to rub, to anoint. Mashiach means anointed, and to anoint means to rub. When it's wintertime, how do you ever been outside and be cold in the winter and you rub your hands like this? Because the friction generates heat. So Christ represents heat or a fire. And that fire is buried inside of the human condition. So if there is no John, there is no Godhood. There is no Christ. That's what there is no Son. Not S-O-N, but S-U-N. The Son of God. And so what this story is showing is that it says he will go on before the Lord in the spirit and they give you the clue because they said in the spirit and power of Elijah. And we all know that Elijah is called the forerunner. So I added in my notes, I said John's mother was a barren woman, as I pointed out, connecting to Hesed. So check this out. So Banah, because it's 3, Hesed is 4. From the barren mother, we go over to Hesed. Hesed has the spirit of Jupiter. Banah has the signature of Saturn, barren. So from the barren mother, and what do we learn about Jupiter? It represents gifts or abundance. So the abundance comes from a space that seems to be anything but abundant. All right. Now, Hokmah is over here where Zacharias comes in and he lines up with Gavora. Gavora means sever, which ties back to Aries, which is why Gavora is associated with Mars. So there's a severity opposite the mercy. And we see the energies going from one side to the other like the yin and yang. So from Elizabeth goes over to the side of mercy, Hesed, the gift. From the mercy side, the wisdom of Hokmah goes over to the side of Aries, which is severity, because the birth cannot happen if the umbilical cord is not severed. And this is the Christ side is on the Gavor, and John materializes on the side of mercy, Hesed, the gift. The whole story is not only showing you astrology, it's showing you Kabbalah. And it's showing you that we need both sides. And y'all got to excuse, this is the ugliest tree of life in the history, but it's showing you, it's juxtaposing the polarities. and showing you the necessity of both. Um, okay, let me keep going. I hope this is making sense. Let me dun, 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 dun. I gotta figure out a quicker way to erase all this. I think there gotta be some little button that I can just hit and all this. Bam. Clear page. That's beautiful. There we go. So Luke chapter 1, 26 through 37. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth, a town in Galilee. Now, Galilee means circle. Nazareth means set apart. So we're again, it's coming back to the same motif. It's the circle, it's the zodiac. A virgin pledged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David. The virgin's name was Mary. The angel went to her and said, "Greetings, you are highly favored. The Lord is with you." Mary was greatly troubled. Let me just say this real quick. This goes back again to the Kabbalistic model we just had up. Mary is the same as the word maritime or mercy. So Mary would be over here on the mercy side. Elizabeth, who is her cousin, would be over here on the side of severity. You see, the story keeps juxtaposing. Not only does it juxtapose John and Christ, but the mothers, Elizabeth and Mary. All right. They're putting them out to be opposites who are actually complements. They're opposites who complement each other. All right. I'm gonna skip down. It says, even Elizabeth, your relative, is going to have a child in her old age, and she who was said to be unable to conceive is in her 6th month. So again, they're showing you that Jesus and John represent the opposition in astrology because 6 months, 6 months from this point would put you here. This is the vernal equinox. This is the autumnal equinox. Now, what's the normal gestation phase of a baby? 280 days. So if we look at this from John's gestation or his conception over here at the autumnal equinox, 280 days would be the equivalent of 270 degrees in astrology, which is the last quarter square. In other words, it takes us all the way around to here, which is the summer solstice. That's when John is born, 280 days after the autumnal equinox, the summer solstice. We are celebrating humanity at the summer solstice, not singularly, but the fact that by us coming through the gate of man, Cancer, we have an opportunity to reemerge through the gate of the gods. We have the ability to become involved and to devolve into matter for the explicit purpose of becoming a god or Christ through the evolutionary process that is opposite it. Let me show you something. Okay, so check this out. You know, I'm a 80s baby, or 80s child. I was born in the 70s, but I was a child in the 80s. And if you from my era, you know about He-Man. So this is Prince Adam. Notice the name, Adam. Okay. Now, in order for Adam to become his full potential, he must go into a place called Castle Grayskull. Okay. And his full potential is this: he becomes He-Man. This these two characters represent John the Baptist, and this is Christ. This is the human condition. This is the potential that can come out of the human condition. Now, if you know the story, the crucifixion, the Christ figure goes to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skulls. The place that Adam goes into to become He-Man is Castle Grayskull. Put it right in our face. Okay. And Castle Grayskull, of course, represents the gate of the gods because he becomes a god when he goes into Castle Grayskull. Castle Grayskull, the gate of the gods, is Capricorn. Capricious, Cap, the head. Capricorn, the head. All right. Christ is born at the winter solstice. Just a recap. And John is born at the summer solstice. In John 3 and 30, it says, and this is John speaking, he must increase, but I must decrease. Now go back to the one of the earlier illustrations, and I showed you the circle of becoming. This is the gate of man right here, where we enter into the human experience. And we enter by becoming involved. Okay. And to be involved is to fall. All right. This is the decrease. This is John saying that he must decrease. But first he says that he, as in Christ, must increase. All this stuff is astrological, esoteric, Kabbalistic. He must increase, which is the evolution. In other words, man must bring God out of himself. And for me to do that, my humanity must decrease. But I must have humanity. There cannot be a He-Man if there is not first Adam, because he provides the initial tapestry or the initial um, dough, the rough clay that this can be molded out of. Okay. Uh, to further go along with this symbolism, John preaches on the banks of the Jordan. The word Jordan means descender. Descender. Okay. Um, let's see. John recognized him, and this him is referring to Christ, as the Messiah and baptized him, saying, "It is I who need baptism from you." Once again, it's a recognition. All this, let me say this about the Helios Biblios, or the Sun book. Every story in there is about you. It's not about the characters. The Bible, the Sun book, is a literary work. It's a mythological book, which does not make it any less important because mythology, there is no higher literature than mythology. Everything you need there is to know about the cosmos is encased in mythical lore. Everything. So to say that the Sun book is mythological takes nothing. It actually elevates the book when you understand what mythology is. It's a way of telling everything there is to know in multifaceted layers. So, with that in mind, when you read the book, you are reading about you. It is the never ending story. It's the same concept as a never ending story. It's all of you're the main character. That's the secret of the book. You're the main character, and it's taking you through a journey of discovering you, which is why that particular book in its canonized form ends with revelation. The revelation of what? You. The apocalyptos, the apocalypse, which means revelation. It means that's where the book is supposed to terminate, with you unveiling the true essence of what has been buried in you. Um, Listen to this. There's an account where Christ left to preach in Galilee. Remember, Galilee is the circle, and John continued preaching in the Jordan Valley. So, in other words, the humanity had fallen, okay, and the Christ energy had risen, which is what they were designed to do. So everything that one is doing, the other one was working opposite, but in coordination with it, with each other. Your godhood is working in coordination with your humanity. Now, um, let's see. John is conceived at the autumnal equinox. We've said that, but we're just going to reiterate. He's conceived at the autumnal equinox and he's born at the summer solstice. Therefore, Jesus is conceived at the vernal equinox and he's born at the winter solstice, which is the whole Christmas ritual, which is why, look, don't let people talk you out of not celebrating Christmas. Look, that when you know what it is and you know where it originated, that's a powerful that's a powerful time of the year, but that's another conversation. Okay. The time of gestation is 280 days or 270 degrees, last quarter square. If you don't really know a lot about these aspects, let me clarify what the last quarter square is. Okay. So a circle is 360 degrees. Okay. When we have a full moon, we have an opposition, which means the sun and the moon are 180 degrees away from each other. Okay. Now, when the moon travels another 90 degrees from that, it's now at 270 degrees and it's making a square to the revolution point, basically where it would complete the circle. It is 90 degrees away from the completion of the circle. And this is called the last quarter square. The first quarter square is when the moon makes its first 90-degree angle down here. All right. But the last quarter square, according to Dane Rudyard, is the crisis of understanding. The first quarter square is a crisis of action. The action is because we're overcoming the dormancy and then the very fragile state of the new moon because the moon is trying to gain light. When we get to the last quarter square, the moon has already been illuminated. So we're not fighting to gain light, we're fighting to understand the light that the illumination, excuse me, that occurred. And that literally represents birth. When that child is born, the whole life of the child is trying to understand what was the sole mission of the child. The birthing process of coming into the human reality is causing a crisis of understanding what the soul agreed to prior to the incarnation, if that makes sense. The word crisis itself is misunderstood because we think of a crisis as like, oh, something bad. But the word crisis literally means to hatch. I always tell my clients this in readings. Like, I want to make sure when we say, I tell them, oh, okay, you're astrologically, you're moving into the midlife crisis. That word crisis has such a negative connotative ring. And I have to clarify crisis means hatch, it means birth. It literally means birth. All right, all right. Um, both John and Christ are held captive prior to their demise. John is beheaded by Herod's stepdaughter, and her name happens to be Shalom, which means peace. So remember, I read the passage, do not think I came to bring peace, I came to bring a sword. So that whole story of John being beheaded by Shalom, which is peace, is representing him as lining up with the vernal equinox. Okay. And the opposite, did I say vernal? I mean the autumnal equinox. And the opposite would be Christ, which lines up with the vernal, which is the sword. Okay. I'm almost done. I hope I'm not boring y'all to death. That this is making sense. Now, do I need this whiteboard anymore? I don't think I do. Let me tell you what I'm getting at here with this, why I keep reiterating these points. A lot of times when I'm doing readings, I get to a point where I'm telling the person that they're going through some new cycle, and a lot of people are realizing that they're into a phase of discovery in their lives, or in their life. They're in the phase of discovery. And so they ask, well, what am I supposed to do now? Like, you think like, I'm having this awakening and oh man, I'm learning that, oh God, I thought this was that way. And now I'm learning that it's really this way and boom, boom, boom. What do I do now? There's an old saying. It goes, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And I'm just going to read I said, people often ask what they are to do after having some form of spiritual awakening. The answer is to just be and to maintain your own belief system, integrity, and internal GPS in anything you're involved in. And goes back to the story about John's parents. He's the son of Elizabeth, who was previously a barren, older woman, and Zacharias, who at the moment that his miracle comes, he's performing his priestly duties. And he's visited by the angel Gabriel or Jabril. I just put up something called Jabril. Everything connects. But aside from the astrology and the Kabbalah, just on a practical life perspective, these people were doing their work, their everyday work. They were chopping wood, they were carrying water. One thing we have to guard against in our generation where we have such knowledge just flooding available for us, and we have access to things that were denied to a lot of our loved ones, ancestors, and so forth. But one thing we could learn from them is the ability to chop wood and carry water. They had an ability to endure that we can only pontificate about. And we'd be wise to tap into that old grit, that ability to endure, and to figure out our task in this information age is to figure out how to reach back in the past and pull that ability to endure and to marry it with all of this information that we now have all this access to. And how do I marry the two? Don't get so lost in your spiritual journey that you lose your common sense. And you think that you're going to do something like Doctor Strange and you're going to walk sideways on someone and the steps going to come up out. See, that's a trick of Hollywood. They make us think that spiritual awakening is some David Blaine shit or some David Copperfield. Like, you know, you see this? I'm gonna spiritually make it. Ooh, yeah, spiritual. That ain't what this shit is. The whole story of John and Christ is telling you that you must have your humanity in order for this Christ to have somewhere to gestate. He-Man is just as dependent on Adam as Adam is on He-Man, because without him, Adam, Adamai, which means earth, without this initial stage, this cannot be realized. So don't lose yourself. Don't lose yourself in uh grandiosity. Magic is subtle. Magic is subtle. That shit in Hollywood is not real. That's not how magic really works. It's subtle. It's what you can't see. It's what you can't hear. It's what you can't touch. Is where the real shit is going on. And it will permeate from you. You don't have to go around and uh and make these manifestos of this and that, and you go back home to see your people and they want to hold hands and pray and you're going to be an asshole. I'm not doing that. You praying to some inferior god. Asshole. That's not spiritual. That's ego. So the challenge is to stay grounded and that power silently, quietly grows, and you will see it manifest in how your life starts to unfold. Like if you can't make this stuff practical, if you can't utilize it in everyday life, to me, you know, parenting 4 children, married, like I can get on here and sell you all some image of myself. But when the camera off, I gotta live in the real world. And if this shit is not real, then I would crumble in the real life off the camera. So this all the stuff we talk about and study, it has to be applicable in everyday life, or else it's just a joke. And so the summer solstice reminds us of the importance of the human experience, but that each of us possesses the Christ energy. Be mindful, though, that the human experience is the womb that the Christ energy gestates in and emerges from. He must increase, but I must decrease. However, in the midst of resurrecting the Christ energy, we mustn't lose sight of the earthly duties and experiences. Continue chopping wood and carrying water with a deeper understanding of its significance in the grand scheme of things. And that's all I got for this evening. I thank you all for uh, your time, your patience with our latest thing out, your positive energy. I'll go over here. Um, let's see. Um, thank you again to Andrea um, and Ashley. Let's see. Got Black Butterfly in the house. Peace, peace. Donna B. Genus Rising. Uh, I'm a May Taurus. Let's see. Let's see who else is here. Oh man, I wasn't paying attention. Let's see. Oh boy. Okay. I'm trying to get the names right. Latanya, Ashley, Croissant. Oh man, thank you, Gold Star Guru. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Um, but yeah, that's gonna about sum it up. So this is what we can do to share in the exchange. If you enjoyed this and you got some edification from it, I ask that you like the video, help, help the organic expansion of this. Um, and share the video. Share the video. And I have a lot of ways that you can work with me. I invite you to go over to my website, 720astrology.com. Get the bundle. Enrich yourself. Get the bundle. And I will be back on here teaching the bundle. My goal is, babe, to keep this stuff here on the front side of YouTube and not have to do like the paywall stuff. But, like you all who gave the super chats, again, I appreciate you whenever you all support through the website, through readings or buying my literature or coaching or other things. What it does, it gives me the ability to go out and keep buying all these books, to put these presentations together and to put them out here for free. That's the Aquarian way. Here's a new one. Here's a new one I just got in. Dictionary of the Saints. You know, this is a This is a good one. I'm enjoying this already. I got this because one of my clients gets these channels from, she gets channels from these Catholic saints, and it ain't fake. It's for real. Um, but either way, once again, I appreciate you all. Remember, know the stars to know yourself. Peace.